Welcome to the White Paper Review, episode 7. My name is Brian Boyes, and my co-host here is Gordon Graham, the White Paper Guy. And if you don't know, that for 25 years, Gordon has been talking about white papers with anybody who will listen. He's done more than 300 of them. He's written the classic book, White Papers for Dummies. And I already said that. He's known as the White Paper Guy. In fact, you can find him if you just Google that.
And my compatriot is Brian Boyes, who's been an ad agency copywriter and a freelance contact specialist and a creator with books like How to Write a White Paper in One Day and courses like How to Use AI to Write Content That's Better Than AI. And I've always enjoyed talking to Brian. He's a super great guy.
The goal today is that you are either a copywriter looking to kind of hone your white paper writing skills, or you're just a regular person who needs to learn about white papers or maybe write one for work. So what we're going to do is we're going to review two different white papers. The good one first, because it's always fun to pick apart the bad one. And so each of us are going to kind of take one. I'm going to start with a white paper that's by the web browser security firm Lokker. So this particular white paper is a report that Lokker puts out twice a year. It's about 3,200 words in 10 pages, so it's a lot of copy. And I'm gonna walk you through some things. I picked this as my example. I just think it's an excellent white paper, and what I love about it, and one of the main reasons that you write a white paper is to show the expertise of your company, and especially kind of in an area that really aligns with what you're trying to sell, your products and services. And so Lokker, their thing, they sell things for like privacy and security for web browsers. And so this report, this white paper, just is an incredible demonstration of their understanding of the threats both to people from your company using their web browsers and going online, but also threats to your company's website. And as far as making it compelling, that's another major thing you need in a white paper. So it's just a little review here. It's a report that kind of solves a problem or kind of gives a background on an issue, and then it's got to give you a compelling reason to read it, and then it's got to really show the expertise of the company, and then among other things, it's got to pretty well identify who it's aimed at. You just can't, a very general white paper is not going to work very well. And so in right off the top, they have an excellent introduction, if you can see it here. And just the first line of the introduction is millions of hidden pixels, trackers, and tags are at the height of web privacy lawsuits. And you're like, oh my gosh, nothing gets a business owner's attention like the word lawsuits, because it just means
Yes.
money, right? And stress, and you're just like, okay, whoa, why is this happening? And so they just jump right off in the latest lawsuit it's happening in California, and then they have a great explanation. They kind of go in to an explanation of why, which I love that right away. There's no throat clearing, there's no
Yeah. Yeah.
we've all seen, an introduction that's, I don't know, blah 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 blah, something to skip. It goes right in. And so anyway, they show over here on the page over here, which is actually page 2. I actually had that as page 3. They immediately identify specifics, and this is another strong thing you want in a white paper. And in this one, it's like 9. They just identify the bad 9 things that you need to be aware of and get under control. And so it's not just a nebulous thing about, there's
Yeah.
a risk out there. They kind of give you some specifics to work on.
Yeah, if I can just jump in, Brian, I
Sure,
really
go for it.
like that about it. They're naming names of malware and stuff, right? Magcart and JavaScript, and on the next few pages, they actually name these trackers, which are great. It's not just, as he said so perfectly, it's not just these nebulous things. Oh, watch out for trackers. It's like,
Right,
here's the top
yeah. Got
three
to be careful
trackers,
out
and
there.
they're
Exactly. And as we know, one of the hardest parts of writing a white paper is getting authoritative sources. If you have a huge budget or your company has a lot of research, I mean, that's incredible. And Lokker has done their own research. This is amazing. They do cite, if you were able to see the copy, they do cite some other sources, but a whole bunch is their own analysis. And so it's, arguments are driven and backed up by hard data, and they do an excellent job. You just can't, it's just not somebody's opinion about this. This is like boom, boom, boom. And again, I was noting that they're like, kind of stuff we've heard in the headlines about either there's lawsuits or there's just companies ready to collapse because of ransomware, because of their data has been exposed. I'm sorry, that's two different things. Data is exposed, they're going to get sued, all the consumers are mad, or ransomware, the Russians shut down the website until they pay. Um, and then what they do an excellent job. I love their graphics. They have kind of use a kind of all different kinds of graphics. Again, it's data, 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 and they show kind of like the big companies and where they're tracking from. And that's like, wow, both Gordon and I were surprised at how prevalent that was. And then the kinds of things that these people are trying to get. And then finally they get down here. Maybe I've lost that page. They had it broken down by where these attacks are coming from. And there's a surprising number of foreign-based attacks, which we know are kind of scary because of ransomware. Um, and then let's see. Oh yeah, lots more. I just had down here. Lots more lawsuits. And then the idea that there's kind of they kind of hit another aspect of it, because you're thinking, oh my goodness, what if they get our employees' data? Or what if they're tracking what we're doing? But they kind of flip and then say, look, here are the major organizations that are harvesting data from sites like yours. And so this is something to be concerned about as well. They give an excellent explanation of cookies. We all kind of agree to take cookies. I actually don't understand what they do or how they work that well. And they just have a very succinct explanation of like what cookies are, how you get them, and what they do, and some of the risks you might want to be careful of. And then um, they they give normally in a white paper you say, well, we want to keep it generic because we're not trying to sell a particular solution. And it may be that they are the only company that has it, so they talk about their branded solution to this, and because it's just very complex, all these elements that go into the security and privacy, and so they have their own metric. It's their own privacy score. It kind of reminds me of like a credit report, right? A whole bunch of we don't know what happens, but you want a good score, right? And so
Yeah.
they talk about that. And then I just thought it was excellent because also part of a white paper is giving counterfactuals. So some things that kind of argue against your solution, but then also once you presented your solution, give some examples where the solution would work really well. And again, they have some examples of, especially from healthcare, where they were these they did not, or companies were not using a product like theirs, and they just got into really bad trouble. And so finally, at the end, this is the only thing that my only critique of this, and it's kind of like I almost get the feeling that they were told to keep it to 10 pages, because we get into, if you can see here, there's 2 pages of resources. Actually, it's not. Where's 10? I'm not getting page 10. I guess counting the covers, page 10. So we have 1 page of resources, but in the back here, they don't have a section that's actually a conclusion. Like it's, I don't know. I felt like I maybe you say something else, or what should we do, or whatever. And so they just kind of they just go from talking about their product, the solution, and then boom into here's some great resources, which is excellent. But I kind of found the solution, the conclusion in the first paragraph there under prepare for 2023 privacy regulations, which is really not a great heading to put it under. So that would be my only critique would be there's a lot, this is over, what was it, 3,200 words in just 10 pages. And so they probably could have gone to 12 pages, maybe up the type a little bit. They had some kind of long line length. So actually not too bad, but again, we're looking at 2 pages at a time here. That line length, it's a little long for readability. This is actually much better how it breaks here. That might have been a better
Yeah,
layout
two
for them.
columns. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so just the final thing I'll say is that in a conclusion, you kind of want to recap because people forget. You kind of want to recap everything you talked about
Mhm.
and kind of tie it
Mhm.
together. And so that they really don't do that. And that would have been nice. But other than that, this to me is just an excellent model of a compelling white paper that it would be I always say you make it such a great resource that people would pay for it, but you give it away for free, right? And so that would definitely fall under this. Gordon, what were your reactions to this one?
Well, I think this is quite riveting, and I'm with you. I read the first couple of lines, and it's a burst of class action lawsuits about online privacy and tracking. Oh my God. I want to see, maybe I can get in on one of those lawsuits. I hope it's not my website. Oh, I hope it's not my favorite company's website. So, and then look at the little pull quote here. 5.1 million data privacy risk. Oh, that's a
Oh
great
yeah, right here. Yeah,
factoid to
yeah.
pull out. And the other thing really compelling, if you go over to page 5,
Okay,
we
let's
were
get
talking
down
about
there.
this before. No, it's page 4. It's the
Okay,
one before this. It's the little, see the little sidebar down here on the right. I'll read it in case you can't.
okay.
And a recent class action lawsuit alleges Facebook used a web tracker to collect information from hospital website activities. According to the recent findings by the Markup publication, the tracking tool on many hospitals' websites has been collecting patients' sensitive health information, including their medical condition, prescriptions, doctor's appointments, and sending it to Facebook. I thought I couldn't be shocked,
Oh
but I saw that.
wow.
I was like,
Wow.
frickin' Facebook is on hospital websites gathering stuff which
Scraping
is supposed to
data.
be secure. Like, this is awful,
And
right?
then you go, gee, why am I getting all these ads for diabetes drugs or whatever, right? That you're not,
Yes.
yeah, that should not be out there. I swear that is fantastic. I mean, that's like investigative journalism right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and maybe that's why maybe it is from an Wired or somebody picked that up, but that's excellent. I mean, I just didn't see any as I went through. I just didn't find a weak paragraph anywhere where it's like, yeah, you should probably cut that out.
Yeah.
It's
And
very succinct.
if you look at these pages right here, there's numbers popping out everywhere. It's specifics and numbers and facts and names of tracking products. It's so good that way. And if I was in a big company running a website, I would be picking up the phone, phoning them, saying, "Hey, can you check out our website? How are we doing anyway?" And getting my web team ready to smarten up.
Yeah, this definitely that the great hope of the white paper is that somebody prints it out and brings it to a meeting and says, "Look, this is what we need to do." I could completely see this report being very prominent in online as they have meetings about online security. This would definitely be influential. Yeah.
Well, it's a big concern of any IT manager, right? But here is something which is so specific and so sizzling and so groundbreaking and so many lawsuits. Like, how could you not pay attention to this? This is absolutely, absolutely compelling.
Yeah, yeah, it's excellent. Okay, well that was a good one.
Okay, sometimes I feel a little bad kicking the big boys, but I have to say, if you want some examples of terrible white papers, look at the big tech companies, and they seem to have more money than skills or knowledge when it comes to doing this kind of publishing. So here's another one from Oracle. Why projects fail, avoiding the classic pitfalls. Well, who doesn't want their projects to work? And who doesn't want to avoid the I know I do. So, okay, there's the cover. It's some kind of, not a person. It's some kind of version of their corporate colors or something, meaningless. Well, let's look inside.
Okay. It looks like the keel on a sailboat to me, but
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we got nice small print, nice wide line. We got a little pull quote from Winston Churchill. Well, everybody knows he's got a lot to do with modern B2B projects. All right, there's an age-old saying that goes something like this: "We can do anything we want, but we cannot do everything we want." Now, okay, contrast that with explosion of privacy-rated class action lawsuits. Which would you sooner jump into?
yeah.
So It's unrelieved by any visuals here, like we can't show a picture. Let's just leaf through this. It lists six six main reasons why projects fail, and they're all expressed in this really sort of legalistic, bureaucratic way: constituent alignment, proactive risk management, performance measurement, project scope definition and management. Why couldn't they put a gerund in there defining your scope of your project properly? Critical project communication, methodology usage. Oh, that's a really compelling thing. So let's just slip through this, Brian, and see if there's
Okay,
any inside.
I'm gonna flip you down. Just
Wow, wall of text there. Wall of text. The most visual thing in these pages is the meaningless bar of red across the top. You can barely see, like, the subheads are the same size as the main body. I mean, I tried to read this as hard as I could. I don't think I read it. Could you read it? I mean, would you read it? Let's go to the next page. I think it'll just
yeah.
let
Okay, here we go.
more of this,
Oh
right?
wow,
Like, oh, and now it's all over.
that
Well,
was
that was
it.
the big
That was
show.
it.
That was the big show there, and we've got some. What about the expectation failing conclusion? The technological and generation shift with companies moving to the cloud, comma, an insatiable demand for digital data and analytics, comma, and a push for anytime, anywhere, any device access to corporate information is changing the way enterprises are viewing themselves. Like, so this has got something to do with project management, so I submit that this white paper is really doing everything wrong. It's got terrible design. It's hard on the eyes. It's got no graphics. It's got bureaucratic bad writing. There's no stories. Why not have a story about a project that failed to draw people in? It's got very verbose, passive writing style, no personality. I cannot see the point of it. If there's any actionable tips, they're buried so deep in there that I couldn't find any. There's no links to any further resources. There's no call to action. There's no, what are they really selling? I'm looking over here. This is sponsored by the Integrated Cloud Application and Platform Services team of Oracle. What does that have to do with these projects? There's no link to Oracle in here. I cannot find the reason why they published this or what they were hoping to achieve with it. The whole thing just looks so pointless to me. And what year was this? This was 2019. This was not like 10 years ago. This was 2019.
Yeah.
And it's just yet another example of how a smart, nimble, small company can blow these big tech companies off the stage in terms of their content.
Can I go back a page?
Go be my guest.
So I was really surprised. I hadn't, you sent this to me, but I hadn't looked through this one, I have to admit. And what is so surprising, just seeing it, is that there's absolutely no quoting of any outside source, of any research. You think about Oracle's expertise. You just think about the unbelievable expertise in that company, right? And that they couldn't get somebody who's an expert in the kind of software integration, whatever, that would help you on projects avoid these things, right? So it's almost like this is like a symptom of, we were talking about earlier, of bad company dynamics. Sometimes a freelance white paper writer is dropped into these really bad toxic dynamics, and you wonder if this white paper came out of something wasn't connecting there, right? The marketing was not connecting to operations or whatever to get the expertise they needed.
Somebody somewhere said we need a white paper about project management. Maybe they had some big collapse and like 3 projects failed in like 2 weeks, and they said we got to do something about project management to help our clients. So some poor sap had to sit there and write this. I think that ChatGPT, the free version, could do better than this. I think if you fed this into ChatGPT and said, make this better, make this more informative, make this more conversational, it would have no problem doing it. maybe this was written by,
Yeah, I agree. And at least you could,
this wasn't written by AI, you know.
yeah, no, it's though, I mean, it's not, the style isn't horrible for what it is. It just feels extremely constrained. But you're right, Chat GPT, you could say, hey, and for each of these points, give me an example. Like pull me an example from and tell me the source where you got it. I mean, that would really beef this up a lot. Yeah. It's also strange. The length is very strange. Again, to me, I suppose if this were printed out a page at a time, that type wouldn't seem that small. But it's odd that it's so short. It doesn't seem very consequential, right?
It's about 2,000 words, but it's
Okay,
all
okay.
crammed down in. This is the like the previous generation of white papers, you know, make it look like a report that came out of
Yeah,
Microsoft Word or something. You could do this in Microsoft Word, no problem. You don't need a designer for this, you know.
yeah. But I mean, a designer with some kind of graphic, something that would break it up and kind of illustrate the point. Yeah. Oh boy, I know. Anyway, so anyway, the whole purpose of our what we're doing this little YouTube show is not to just, pick on people, but it's to kind of learn. And often what we see in white papers is there's like a lot, the team has a lot going for them, and they're just a couple bad decisions that often doom a white paper. And maybe something along these lines would have made a great white paper if we could have accessed some case studies or some examples of doing this, and some examples of how, even if you don't mention Oracle, how their type of software helped in these kinds of things. Um, but yeah,
Mhm.
it reminds me of kind of bland, like wisdom literature, that's never good in corporate, just bland words of wisdom.
Yep, you have to watch out for this, and you have to pay attention to that, and it's just a list, right? It's nothing about how you actually do it. It's not specific at all, right? It's
Yeah,
totally
yeah.
generic,
And
totally
I thought it was great what you said, because the whole point, generally in smaller companies, it's significant spend to get a white paper. And so it needs to do something. It's a tool. It needs to do something. And I thought that was interesting. In this one, it doesn't have you do anything. It doesn't has you take no action or even change your mind about anything. You could read it and, you know, be unaffected.
Yep. So you too, in a small company, can outdo a big company in your content by using a little more imagination and running it through one more draft, maybe like saying, okay, this is the starting point. We're not going to publish it like this. This is the starting point. Then push it and make it better, right?
Well, Gordon, I love it because you're somehow able to find these big company examples that aren't very good. And in my mind, I would think that Oracle they're a long tenured tech company, and that kind of surprises me that
I've
just
never
would not
seen a
be
good
that
one
good.
from Oracle. I've never seen a good one. Like you could just go and look. This was a company that had like a guy playing on the grand piano in their lunchroom, and a
Oh,
beautiful lunchroom where you could order fresh fish and stir
yeah.
fries and stuff. Like
Oh my gosh.
they just have so much money that they don't have to be that good.
Well, that's it for this episode. We hope you've learned something both good and bad from white papers.
So if you need to learn more about white papers, if you need to write a white paper yourself, if you would like to hire an expert to write one for you, see the links below this video. And there's lots of resources, and Brian and I are available to help as well.
All right. Well, if you've watched this far, we thank you very much, and we will see you next time. Bye, Gordon.
Bye.